Lesson 1-6, Subtracting Integers. In our last lesson, we learned how to add integers and how important it was to pay a close attention to positives and negatives and how many of each sign. Subtracting integers also has a rule and can also be modeled with algebra tiles, our positive and our negative units. Let me model the problem 5 minus 2. First, represent your first number, which is a positive 5. So I'm going to take 5 of my yellows because they're positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, now I want to take away, because I'm subtracting, so I want to remove 2 positive squares. I can do that because I have 5. There's 2 that I can remove. If I remove those, I look at what I have left, and I have 3 positive squares. 5 minus 2 is 3. All right, let's do another model. What if I have a negative 3 minus negative 1? All right, always represent your first integer first. So negative 3, I do that with 3 red tiles because they're negative. And now I want to take away 1 negative. I can do that because I have enough. Remove that one. I'm left with negative 2. All right, what happens if you have something like, let's say 4 minus negative 1. All right, so always start with your first integer. I'm going to model 4, positive 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, it says I'm supposed to take away a negative unit. I have no negatives to take away. So this is where we do something different with subtracting. Since I can't take away any negatives, I only have positives, I need to add some tiles to my already existing number so that I can remove a negative. Well, I don't want to change my number 4. It needs to remain 4. But if I add a 0 pair, remember that's a yellow and a red, this has the quantity of 0. So adding this to my number 4 doesn't change the number 4. But now I added 1 so that I have 1 red or negative unit to remove. So then I count what I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the answer to this problem is a positive 5. All right, let me do one more of those with models. All right, let's say I have this time a negative 6 and I want to subtract 3. So I start with my first number and negative 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I want to take away 3 positives. I don't have any positives. I only have negatives. I can't change my number 6. So I'm going to, since I need 3 positives to take away, I'm going to add 3 0 pairs. This is not changing my number of negative 6. They equal 0, so I still have a negative 6. But now I have 3 positive units that I can remove, so I'm left with 6 plus 3, which equals a positive 9. So that is modeling subtraction using algebra tiles. If you noticed, when you subtract, if you saw with our models, we didn't always have enough units to take away from. So when you subtract, the rule is you can also add its opposite. So in this example, 2 minus 5. This is the same thing as changing the minus sign to plus, and the sign of your second number, this was a positive 5, I change it to its opposite, negative 5. Here's another example. 7 minus 3, I change it to 7 plus a negative 3, adding the opposite. Let's do some together. In January 1916, the temperature in Browning, Montana dropped 100 degrees overnight. The initial temperature was 44, and it dropped 100 degrees. What was the final temperature? Well, since I'm subtracting, I'm going to add the opposite. So I changed it to an addition sign and I added a negative. So now it's 44 plus 100. We know how to add integers. we can actually subtract them. 100 minus 44, and I get 56. And since 100 is a bigger number, absolute value, I make it negative. So let's do A. I'm going to rewrite it. 32 minus a negative 3. When you see subtraction, I'm going to add the opposite. If this was negative 3, it's now positive 3. So a double negative just becomes one big plus sign. 32 plus 3. And that answer is 35. All right, the next one is negative 40 minus 66. Well, I can take this subtraction sign and make it plus, change the sign of my second number. Notice I'm never touching the first number. So now I have two negative numbers being added together, and I get negative 106. The last example is 2 minus 48. I'm going to change that to 2 plus a negative 48. So I rewrote it as a sum. Well, now I do 48 minus 2, I get 46, and add the negative, negative 46. That brings us to the end of our lesson already, pretty quick. I'm going to change the directions a little bit. I would like you to do 3 through 8. I want you to rewrite each expression as an addition problem and solve or simplify. So get the final answer. Okay, bring your notes and these answers to class.